Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
AC Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Jai Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Purvikacharya Ashtadarshya Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Koshi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopana Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to the Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 2, Text 13. Iti te bhartri nirdesham adaya shirasaditra tata prajanam kadanam vidahu kadana priya iti te bhartri nirdesham adaya shirasadritaha tata prajanam kadanam vidadu kadana priyaha iti bhartri nirdesham adaya shirasaditaha tata prajanam kadanam vidadu kadana priyaha iti bhartri nirdesham adaya shirasaditaha tata prajanam kadanam vidadu kadana priyaha. Iti te bhartri nirdesham
adaya shirasadrita tata prajanam kadanam vidatu kadana priya iti te bhartri nirdesham adaya shirasadrita tata prajanam kadanam
Tyler?
Iti te bhartri nirdesham adaya shirasadritaha tataha prajanam kadanam vidatu kadana priyaha.
Anyone else? Okay. Synonyms. Iti, thus. Te, they. Bhartri, of the master. Nirdesham, the direction. Adaya, receiving. Shirasa, with their heads. Adritaha, respecting. Tata, so also. Prajanam, of all the citizens. Kadanam, persecution. Vedaduhu, executed. Kadana priyaha, who are expert in persecuting others. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Thus the demons, being fond of disastrous activities, took Hiranyakashipu's instructions on their heads with great respect and offered him obeisances. According to his directions, they engaged in envious activities directed against all living beings. Purport. The followers of demoniac principles, as described here, are thoroughly envious of the general populace. In the present day, scientific advancement exemplifies such envy. The discovery of nuclear energy has been disastrous to people in general because demons all over the world are manufacturing nuclear weapons. The word Kadana Priyaha is very significant in this regard. The demoniac persons who want to kill the Vedic culture are extremely envious of the feeble citizens, and they act in such a way that ultimately their discoveries will be inauspicious for everyone. Jagato Hitaha. The 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita fully explains how the demons engage in sinful activities for the destruction of the populace. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmiltam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishnam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swaparantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitamtam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Haripi Vancha Kalpatri Vishcha Kripa Sandibhi Evacha Patitanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this verse, it describes manufacturing nuclear weapons. So I have a Sankirtan story. I was distributing books to this family. They had 3 young children. And I was asking the kids, what are you studying in school? So one said, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a veterinarian. And the other one said, I want to study animal life, like that. She wanted to go into taking care of animals. So I told the kids, you guys seem to be very brilliant, very intelligent. Use that intelligence to help others, to inspire, to work together, and to do good for the people. And I told them that there are many brilliant-minded people out there in the world, but what are they doing? They're creating nuclear weapons. And when they heard this, they agreed. So I said, these books, they help you to understand what is right and wrong. And the parents, they were so amazed at, this basic moral instruction, right? To understand the difference between right and wrong. It pleased them, so they told their child, listen to what he's saying. They took sets, they gave a donation, and they went on their way. So this idea of war is very ancient. There were wars in the past, there are wars happening in the present, and there's also wars in the future. Why? Because the people, the leaders, they are lacking Krishna consciousness. And I was researching. It says that France, they've been involved in over 1,115 battles. Yeah. The United Kingdom or England, they've been involved in 1,105 battles. The U.S., the United States in over 833 battles, and Russia over 491 battles. So in this section of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's going to be a war between the demons and the demigods. But there's always disturbances between the two. And the Bhagavad Gita was spoken before the war of Kurukshetra. There have been world wars. There's also wars between nations, countries. And now it's more subtle. There's war in between within ourselves. Therefore, we see a lot of unhappy people. And then the prescription for antidepressants, the prescription for anxiety disorders, prescriptions for pain medication is now rising. I was distributing books at La Jolla Cove a few days ago, and I was asking them about stress, and this man said, "Oh, I have 100 meds for that." He was joking, but he knew, so stress and anxiety. And Srila Prabhupada, he mentions that wars between Pakistan and Hindustan, it was a chaos, Everyone's fighting with one another. And he said when the piles of dead bodies were there, no one can distinguish between who was a Hindu and who was a Muslim. So war in the beginning, war in the middle, and war in the end, it just creates a very destructive outcome, aftermath. And you can see this also, the buildings, the people's faith they're shaken by war. And what is the result? There's a lot of, mental disturbances. I remember I was reading Srila Prabhupada's books, and it said that the biggest war is between Krishna conscious devotees and the non-devotees. And I was thinking, how many people are Krishna consciousness? Not many, right? So we have a lot of work to do. So there's a story. There was a room full of intelligent people, doctors, scientists. And one person, he asked, who is the most unhappy person? And each person gave their opinion. One person said, one who is in poverty is the most unhappy. Because if you don't have money, you suffer. And some person, he said, a person who is in disease is unhappy. If someone is sick or with an illness, it's a very miserable condition, You can't sleep, your body's in pain. So it went on like this. And then the last person, he said, a person who is most envious, he is unhappy. And everyone agreed. Because envy means that if you see someone happy, it disrupts your happiness, right? Enviness. And so if this society of envious people were to be in power, the people would not be so happy. It would bring real unhappiness. And then in the purport, it describes the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And Srila Prabhupada describes the royal road to hell. the royal road to hell. And he describes that pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and ignorance, these qualities belonging to the demoniac nature, they're walking this royal road. And then Krishna says there's 3 gates that opens up to this hell: anger, greed, and lust. And examples are Hiranyakashipu, he was taken over by anger. His brother Hiranyaksha was just killed by Lord Varaha. So now he's planning to kill the demigods. And then an example of lust was Ravana in Ram Leela. He took the Lord's eternal consort, Sita. Imagine that. I remember in a talk, Srila Prabhupada, he says, never make friends with someone's wife. Right? So we should be careful. And then Ravana, he was warned by his brothers, even his wife. They said, don't do this, you should return Sita. But he was overpowered with lust, overwhelmed by lust. So he couldn't hear good instructions. They want to take the kingdom of heaven without its king, and they want to take the kingdom of God without God. Srila Prabhupada says that. So Krishna describes his demoniac people that they do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Truthfulness, cleanliness, nor proper behavior is found in them. So they lack cleanliness and proper behavior. I was buzzing up Maharaj at his apartment, and his next door neighbor, he was stumbling up the stairs. He was intoxicated. He was drunk. And then he said, "Do you mind if I smoke? Maharaj, please, can you smoke downstairs?" And he just ignored Maharaj. I don't know why he asked. He opened the door, he turned on the TV, blaring, and it was some movie with cursing in there. It was just pointless. And then he started smoking in his living room. And then he saw us shaving up. And then he went downstairs to finish his cigarette. So after this, Maharaj asked him politely, "Can you please turn the TV down? I have work to do." And they said, "Nope, I'm not turning a peep down like that." So he's not willing to change. And these types of people, they're not clean inside or out. In Balboa Park, you'll see that. So for internal cleanliness, for external cleanliness, we bathe, we take a shower, we brush our teeth, we change clothes. But for internal cleansing, we chant the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So the devotees were clean inside and outside. So this Krishna consciousness movement is the cure. And the demoniac, they accept the enjoyment of the senses to be the ultimate goal of life. And they're pushing that, right? Enjoy as much as you can. And as long as you don't hurt others, you can do whatever you want. But they don't know that killing animals is hurting also. And they lack this knowledge, or they haven't heard a good answer. Or the third reason is because they haven't met a devotee. Yamunapati Prabhu, he was with me at Balboa Park towards the last hour yesterday. And there was a family of 3. There was a father, a son, and a daughter. The kids, they were barely just entering college. So I asked them, what are you pursuing in school? And the boy, he said, I have no idea. And the girl, she said, I want to study the ocean. I said, very good. So they weren't going to take a book, but I called them over. And then the son, he kept picking up, coming back, looking at it, turning it, putting it back. He did that twice. So I said, I know you're interested in this book. And then I asked him, have you thought about karma and reincarnation? And he said, yeah. So the father, he said, you want to get that book? And the son, he was a little shy, He said, I would like to read it. So the father, he got coming back for him. And then they took a set also. They gave a donation. And so the demons, they also don't believe in life after death, right? It's a very profound thing, actually, when you tell them there is life after this life. And one of the reasons why I asked the lady, I said, how come you don't believe in the next life? And she said, I don't want to remember what I do, like that. Meaning she knows that she's engaged in sinful activities. So she doesn't want the repercussions or the results of these. And I told her, just because you don't believe it doesn't mean it's not gonna happen. And she became a little more thoughtful. So I said, take this book. I gave her Bhagavad Gita. She took it, she smiled, and she said, I think I should change my ways. She took a Bhagavad Gita, she gave a donation, and she left. And Balboa Park is a tourist attraction. I researched it. It's the #2 visited place in San Diego. First one, I think, is the zoo. So Balboa Park. And I set up by the old Globe Theater. It's that hallway. And people that come to San Diego, they'll see many different things. They'll see vendors, musicians. They'll see the homeless. And then they'll see the devotees distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. And so when people go on vacation, they want to relax. They want to try to enjoy. And they don't want to think about work. So it's funny because, not funny, but I was observing this very unique situation. There's a man there that he sits down. He has Parkinson's. He's shaking very badly. And he has a cup and it says donation. Anything helps. And I was watching people, come his way. So I observed 4 things. The first one, people ignore him. They pretend that they don't see this struggle that this man has. So they walk, and then they pass him. The second one is that they give him food. If they don't want to give a donation, they either give food. The third one, people are so busy with their nonsense prajalpa talks that they don't even see him. They don't see him. And then there's people that feel bad. They pass him, and then they stop by the pillars, and then they take out their wallet, they give him a donation. So it was confirming that people by nature, they're good. They want to try to help in some way. And then in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes there's different ways of giving in charity. In the mode of goodness, in the mode of passion, in the mode of ignorance. But above this, there's charity given in purified goodness. I was distributing books, and this lady, she said, I just stopped her, and she said, how much do you want? She didn't even care about what I said. She said, how much do you want? And I said, well, we just asked for a donation for our books. If you can help, it helps us to reprint more books. She gave $20 and she left. That alone, she didn't want to take books. But she wanted to give something. But that's towards Krishna consciousness. So that's pure goodness. And I was looking up the word envy and the opposite, or the antonyms. And some words came up: kindness, friendliness, love, and goodwill. This is the opposite of envy. So these qualities should be what devotees have. There's a story. There was a lost child in the forest. And this child was under the sun. 4 people approached the child. The first one, to stop the child from crying, he gave the child food. For a little while, the child stopped crying, and then he started crying again. So he put him down. The second person said, oh, you must be suffering from the heat. So he took the child and put him in the shade. The child stopped crying, and then for a while, he started crying again. The third one said, oh, you probably need to be rocked or given care. So he picked up the child and started rocking the child. He stopped crying for a bit, but then the child started crying again. So these people, they wanted to do something good for the child, giving food, shelter, things like that. The fourth person actually knew the solution. He knew that the child was lost, and he knew the parents, right? So by giving the child back to the parents, everything else automatically follows. Food, shelter, clothing, nurture, care. And so that's what we're doing, the devotees. All these lost souls in the world, they're crying. They're looking for someone to love, and that's Krishna. They're looking for something to do, and that's devotional service. And they're looking for friends, and that's association of the devotees. So the devotees were actually like that fourth person that's trying to stop the child from crying. We know the real solution to this problem. And, some devotees, they think, oh, I'm initiated. I have my name, I have my mantra, I have my guru, I have my deity. And so I'm saved. That's their mood. But Srila Prabhupada, he also had that. But what did he do? He came to the West. The United States of America, it's a very mysterious place, I remember when I first came here, I was introduced to toilet paper. I was like, toilet paper, So I asked my uncle, I said, what is this? And so he told me, after you use the bathroom, you use this. In the Philippines, we use water, like how we use it here, right? And I was thinking, they don't have to cut down trees, and it's a more cleaner way of cleaning yourself. Toilet paper, you just smear it, I think that's cleaning. So, and when I came to the West, anyway, there was a lot of mysterious things about the United States when I first came here from the Philippines. But this mood of not reaching out to others, that's not Srila Prabhupada's mood. That's not Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood. That's not Lord Nityananda's mood. They went out and tried to save these fallen conditioned souls. Therefore, there's Harinam Sankirtan, there's Prasadam distribution, and then there's book distribution. So what are we doing for others? You know, a lot of people, it's fine. You know, they come here every Sunday. You know, they join the kirtan, they have prasadam. But after that, they go back to their regular ways. But Krishna consciousness is a lifestyle. You know, it's meant to reform us, to change the way we used to be before. And Srila Prabhupada, before he was Abhay Charan Day, and he was walking at Radhakund, you know, there's a little pathway, with his spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And Abhay felt that his spiritual master was speaking to him in an urgent way. He was talking about how there was fire in the mat. The Gaudiya Mat, they just had a marble temple. And the disciples, they were fighting with one another. Which rooms are they going to occupy? So Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, if I can take the marble from the walls and print books, that would be better. And then he instructed Srila Prabhupada, if you ever get money, print books. Srila Prabhupada took that to heart. And then so, how important is book distribution? How important is Sankirtan, Harinam? So we should try to do our best to try to involve people in Krishna consciousness. So I'll tell a few Sankirtan stories. There were 3 men walking in the hallway. They looked very rough. You know, they were very serious, hands in their pocket. So I called them over and I said, where are you visiting from? And then the man, the leader, he said, why do you care? I said, I want to try to help. And I asked them, have you heard of stress? And they started laughing. And then I said, we're sharing books on how to deal with stress and anxiety, how to become free from fear, worries. So I handed him a book, the leader. For some reason, Krishna inspired me to give the other 2 another set. So all 3 of them took sets. And I was talking to them and how these books, they help us to find inner happiness and inner peace. And they're about self-development, self-growth. So I like to guess people's occupation. I said, engineer, teacher, and a doctor. And they looked at each other. He said, he's a doctor. The middle one was an engineer. And then the main person, the boss, he said, I'm an enforcer. And I said, are you a police officer? He said, no. He said, I'm in the Italian mafia, like that. Yeah. So after I was speaking to them, they said, how much for these books? I said, generally most people give $20 for the set. The mafia guy, he reached in his wallet. He gave $60. He said, I'm going to pay for all of them. And then the doctor, he said, I want to pay for my own. So in total, I got $80 in that spot. It took away three stacks. And then I see this change of heart. The Italian mafia, he reached to me and he wanted to shake my hand. And I was thinking, these people, you know, their hearts, they change just by hearing the messages of Srila Prabhupada's books. And on their way, they said, how did you know we're from somewhere else? And I said, you guys walk differently. You know, so they smiled and then they went on their way. Some people, they think I'm Mexican. Some people think I'm some people think I'm Chinese. Some people think I'm from Southeast Asia. And there's some that think I'm from India. I stopped the family, you know. They didn't care what I said. They just, how much for the books? And after they took a set, they gave $20. They said, are you from Nepal? I said, no, I'm from the Philippines. And it's, oh, I stopped just because I thought you were from Nepal. They took a set just because I thought I was from Nepal. So you never know who you're going to meet and why they're going to take books. And so there was a couple traveling from Germany. They didn't want to take a book, but they wanted to give a donation. I mentioned that we're trying to do good for the people. So your donations, it goes towards a good cause. And so the lady, she said, I want to give you something, I want to help. She gave $20, and I said, no, you have to take a book. And I said, but we're not going to read it. We know about yoga and meditation. I said, give it to someone. And so the lady, she was holding the book, and she said, I can leave it in our room. And I said, are you renting an Airbnb? She said, no, we're at a hotel. She said, I'm going to leave it at our room so the next people, they can read it. And then she said, pay it forward. Is that a movie or a book?
Yeah,
Movie. Okay. So yeah, I said, that's wonderful. That's a great idea. And then she kept turning the pages, or the set. And she said, maybe I'll use this cookbook, So they went away with the set of books. And it's interesting because Dvijamani Prabhu, he mentioned this man Matthew, right? I think the following day, I met Matthew. Yeah, he was walking with his lady friend. And so he had sunglasses on, And he said, I already got books. I said, but do you have this set, Because I know he didn't get it. He got the Bhagavad Gita. So I handed him the books, and I said, these books, they'll change your life, And I started speaking about the mind, and I started talking about a more simple way of living, and how we don't need a lot to be happy. And I look up, and there's a tear coming down his eyes, like that. So I didn't want to look at him, so he just kept looking up like that, and tears were just going down. So the girl, she said, you want to get it? She said, I want to get it. He said, I want to get them for sure, So he said, how much? And I said, we just asked for a donation. So he gave a donation. And then the lady, I said, do you like flowers? And she said, yeah. I said, what's your favorite color? She said, I like yellow. And that day, I got a plumeria. So I gave it to her. I said, this is from our temple. And she was very impressed how the devotees, or how I was behaving towards them. So they walked away. And then before this, he said, yeah, I met your friend, Dvija. And I said, yeah, he's my roommate. So even when we meet the same people, they'll still take books. So you never know, Don't underestimate Srila Prabhupada's books. I was speaking to a group, and I said, would you like to know the secret for happiness? And the group said, we would love to. So first I said, what makes you happy? They were naming different things. And then they asked me. I said, I don't want to tell you. You have to read them in these books. They were very curious, So they said, how do you know we're not happy? And so I used the example of a fish that's out on the land. This fish, it'll never be happy, even if it has 100 friends, a big house, unlimited bank account. The fish will be happy when it goes back in the ocean. So I said, you are all spirit souls, and you're looking for spiritual happiness. And then that kind of blew them away. They said, that's right. So I said, if you want the secret for happiness, you should get these books. 3 of them took a set. They gave a donation. And there was this Mataji on the far left. She started crying. And I said, are you okay? And she said, I really needed to hear this. So she took a set. And then yesterday, there was these 3 Matajis from Oregon. And I said, you know what I love about Oregon? They said, what? I said, you can drink from the tap. I said, here in San Diego, don't even think about that, Don't even think about drinking tap water. So they started laughing. So I broke their guard. And then the Mataji, the middle one, she was the youngest. She was the granddaughter. There was a daughter, there was a granddaughter, the mother, and then the great-grandmother, or the grandmother, the mother, and the daughter. So I was telling them how we're looking for happiness, but in the wrong places. And then the mom pointed at her child. And then I said, we're looking for in material things. And then the grandma pointed at the granddaughter, the same person. And then she said, why are you guys pointing at me? So anyway, long story short, I told them that these books, they help you to find natural happiness, to understand ourselves and what is the goal of life. What am I supposed to achieve here? So she took the Bhagavad Gita. And I said, good choice. I said, the Bhagavad Gita was spoken 5,000 years ago, and it contains the most ancient knowledge in the world. So I turned to a few chapters, and she was blown away. I said, you only read 3 verses out of 700. I said, what to speak of reading the whole book? She was so impressed. And then the mother, she said, I think I want to take a book for myself. So she also took a Bhagavad Gita. And then so yesterday I forgot my phone at the temple. And so I didn't have a way to collect from cards. But thank Krishna that Yamunapati was there. He had his phone, so they gave a donation and they went on their way. And I was thinking how these people, when are they going to ever hear these from person, Inner happiness, inner peace, a natural way of living, a simple way of living. Because the modern society, it's very demoniac now, materialistic society. And last one, there was a lady, she walked over to my table. She didn't want to take a book, but she took a pamphlet. Later on, she came back and she said, how do you pronounce this? And I said, pronounce what? And she was pointing at the mantra. So I said, you chant it like this. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. She said, wow. And I told her, this is a happy mantra, like that. And so you just keep chanting this, and it'll change your life. So she didn't take a book, but she was able to chant the holy name. Okay, that's all I have. Is there any questions or comments? Very wonderful.
Thank you. I want to share. When I a few days ago distributed books, I offer books, and it to guys, and one said me that, oh, I have already this, and he said me that someone in Balboa Park, I asked where, and he said, I in Balboa Park yesterday bought his books, and he tried to pronounce your name, and he go watch something like this, and we little speak with him, and I offer books to his friend, and he took it.
Very nice. Thank you for that. Do you have money?
It's about Matthew, who after you, he came to my table and he was like talking to me for a while, and then he asked me, he said, I only have one question now. Where do I get the beads? And you were mentioning about how we shouldn't mix with, not mix, but a man shouldn't trust a woman. And I was reading in the 9th canto of Bhagavatam about the pastime of Urvashi and Pururava. So, and Urvashi herself were speaking with the king. She was saying that the heart of a woman is like that of a fox, and there is no use of making friendship with women. And then she going on to say, women as a class are merciless and cunning, and they cannot tolerate even the slight offense. For their own pleasure they can do anything irreligious, and therefore they do not fear killing even a faithful husband or brother. Women are very easily seduced by men, and therefore polluted women give up their friendship of a man who is their well-wisher, and establish false friendship among fools. Indeed, they seek newer and newer friends, one after another. So, yeah, Srimad Bhagavatam warns us that if the women are not obedient in relationship, that they get out of control and cause so much problems.
There was this lady, she came to my table, and she wanted to take the book, she was interested, and then she told me she's going through a divorce. So I said, you should work on yourself first. You know, I don't want to make her feel bad, you know. But I said, you'll be okay by yourself, you know. And she said, but I have a problem. She said, I love men like that. And then my eyes opened up and I said, well, you should learn to control yourself, you know. So long story short, she took books, she took a donation, but it just reminded me how one of the biggest causes of suffering is our relationships, you know, materialistic relationships. Yes, Magalula.
I met one guy on books one time in Ocean Beach, and he asked me something about, I don't know anyway, but somehow we got on talking about the regulative principles. And then when I got to illicit, no, he asked what being a monk was like, and I mentioned celibacy, and he's like, oh, celibacy. He's like, oh, and then he's like, no way, I couldn't do that. And he was with his mom, I think, and he's like, no way, that's crazy. He's like, and then he was saying, he's like, I love sex. He's like, I can never give up sex. And then he's like, sex is amazing. And then he just started describing very graphically all the different ways that you could have sex with a woman. He's like, this way and that way and this way. I was like, oh my God. and then his mom was like, no, it's good. What he's doing is good. It was like, oh my God. The guy was like really moaning out. His mother was there, yeah. Can you believe that? No. She wasn't encouraging him. She was saying, no, you know, shut your mouth. Like, what he's doing is good, you know. But really low class, you know, kind of person, like an animal.
I remember there's a portion in Following Srila Prabhupada. There was a young Mataji, and she had joined the movement, you know. And then she was telling the mother, you know, we should have her married. And then the mother said, no, she's too young. You know, she has a lot to experience. And Srila Prabhupada said, just seeing, even the mother, she wants her daughter to be a prostitute, you know. Okay, thank you for your time and attention. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.